Hello, I'm Chris Barrow with the BBC News. President Biden has arrived in London ahead of the funeral of Queen Elizabeth on Monday. The US president is among around 500 heads of state and foreign dignitaries expected to attend the event. The Prime Ministers of Canada, Australia and New Zealand are already in the UK. The Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is also thought to be in London. More details from Paul Adams.
Inevitably, attention has focused on the invitation offered to Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince and de facto ruler Mohammed bin Salman. Human rights groups say the invitation represents the whitewashing of an appalling human rights record, including the Crown Prince's alleged role in the murder of the Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi in 2018. The Crown Prince is thought to be coming to London, but it's still not clear if he plans to attend the funeral. He's always denied ordering Mr Khashoggi's killing.
Reports from Haiti say the government is considering imposing a state of emergency and a curfew after violent demonstrations demanding the immediate resignation of the Prime Minister, Ariel Henry. In Port-au-Prince, roadblocks set up by protesters and gang violence have restricted the access to water trucks. This man is one of thousands affected in the capital's poorer areas.
Because of the roadblocks, it's been at least 2 or 3 days since we've had access to water. I live in Fort National, but we travelled here to buy water. If it weren't for these places, we'd die from thirst. We can't find drinking or even non-drinking water. This is where we have to come to find it.
The security situation deteriorated earlier this week when the government raised fuel prices by more than 100%. The Chilean government has set a new date for the Israeli ambassador, Gil Artzieli, to be officially appointed. The investiture was cancelled because it coincided with a deadly attack in the occupied Palestinian territories. Our Americas editor, Leonardo Rocha, reports.
The ceremony has now been booked for September the 30th. In a statement, Chile's foreign ministry said the decision to postpone the presentation must be understood in the context of political sensitivity over the death of a Palestinian teenager last Thursday, the original date of the investiture. The Israeli government complained and on Sunday summoned Chile's ambassador in Tel Aviv to explain the incident. Chile's Jewish community has accused the country's left-wing president, Gabriel Boric, of anti-Semitism, because Israel's ambassador was the only one whose investiture was postponed.
A massive storm has brought devastating flooding to coastal towns in the US state of Alaska, prompting the governor to declare a disaster for affected communities. US weather forecasters say the remnants of Pacific Typhoon Merbok have created one of the strongest storms to batter the Alaskan coast in decades. World news from the BBC. The US territory of Puerto Rico is preparing for the arrival of a powerful storm, which the National Hurricane Center says will bring life-threatening floods and mudslides. Tropical Storm Fiona gained strength on Saturday and is expected to become a Category 1 hurricane by the time it reaches the island. The governor of Puerto Rico, Pedro Pierluisi, said he'd requested permission from Washington to declare a state of emergency. One of the most senior politicians in the United States, Nancy Pelosi, has arrived in the Armenian capital, Yerevan, as fighting continues between Armenia and neighbouring Azerbaijan. As House Speaker, Ms. Pelosi is the highest-ranking US official to visit the country. She's leading a congressional delegation. The Tunisian government has raised fuel prices, with the cost of cooking gas going up 14% and petrol by 3%. The move is part of measures to reduce energy subsidies to meet a key demand of the International Monetary Fund. Tunisia is seeking a $3 billion loan to help it resolve social unrest over soaring inflation. A celebrated French solo climber, whose exploits have earned him the title the French Spider-Man, has celebrated his 60th birthday by scaling a 48-storey tower in Paris with his bare hands. Kat Wiener reports.
Alain Robert is renowned for climbing many of the world's tallest buildings without a harness, relying only on his bare hands, a pair of climbing shoes and a bag of powdered chalk to wipe off the sweat. He told reporters he'd set himself the goal of climbing the 187-metre Tour Total once he reached 60, which is the retirement age in France, to send out a message that age should not stop anyone being active and doing fabulous things. Mr. Robert said he'd chosen the headquarters of Total Energy, one of the world's 6 biggest oil companies, to raise awareness of the need for climate action.
And that's the latest BBC News.